the beginning. Kum lenen ablat gemara. Today's daf is Samach Vov Amud Aleph. Top of the page. If somebody makes a neder that they will not eat meat or drink wine, or especially eat meat, poischin we use as a pesach. B'yamim tovim Shabbos. We say to him, you realize that on Shabbos you have to eat meat. It's you're not allowed to be mitzvah yourself on Shabbos, and you're doing that. And therefore, it's a good Pesach. He says, I didn't realize it. It's good Pesach. Now the question is, okay, so what is permitted? Do we say that the weekdays are still forbidden? It's only Shabbos and Yom Tov that is permitted? Or do we say once part of the neder falls away, the entire neder falls away? So, in the beginning, they said, those days are permitted. But the rest of the days are asa. In other words, whatever is applicable is still applicable. Until Rabbi Akiva came along, which we learned before the Chavav, that whole sugya. Rabbi Akiva came along, Rabbi Akiva, where he says that a neder shehuta miktsasei mutter kulei. And we brought a Yishami there, and one of the basis for that is because it says that everything comes out of your mouth you have to fulfill. So we also darshan that you only have to fulfill it if you're able to fulfill the entire neder you made. But once part of the neder falls away, so too does the rest. Kate's an example. Omar, he said, none of you should have any benefit from me whatsoever. And Hutar Echmer turned out to be one of them, was his father or his brother. So that person becomes mutter. Hutar Kula, they all become mutter. And they all become mutter. And we had the Machlek Zamarayim as to what a lot when we say that and when we say no, that balance is still also, and we said that, according to one opinion, that if he said, I would have said, instead of saying hutru kul, I would have said hutru kul and chutz avivimi. That was one version, but if he would have said, I would not have said hutru kul at all. I would have said lazeh. Then if part of it is mutter, they're all mutter. But if he said I would have still continued with hutru, then he's not really changing. Then they remain us except the father. If he said I won't have any benefit from this person, and just like that person, I don't have a benefit from you. So each person is dependent on the person before. If one person is mutter, they're all mutter. But if the last person is mutter, then only the last person. There's no words. The second person is dependent on the first, and the third on the second. So if the first becomes permitted, they all become permitted. So the Mishnah, if he says Shani Nena Lazek Carbon, if he says, and repeat himself to this person, I don't have any. You should have any benefit from me to be like a carbon, and this person should be like a carbon. And each person you repeated the entire phrase, then it's treated like different Nedarim, Sichim, Pesach, Halech. Every single one requires their own Pesach. It's like each one is a separate neder. Each one requires their own Pesach. But it seems to the Mishnah, but if he would not have used the word carbon, he just would have said that this person, everybody knows like a carbon. And this person also, and this person also, it becomes like one neder. Part of it is permitted, they're all permitted. But because he repeated the whole time carbon to each one separately, each one is treated like a separate neder. Whatever he says, I don't have anything to do with wine because wine is bad for your stomach. They told him, what are you talking about? There's a certain kind of wine, old wine, aged wine, the wine is good for you. Then then old wine now is permitted. It was a mistake. And once that's permitted, according to Rabbi Akiva, all wines are mutter. What about kainim bottle? The same thing with an onion. I don't have anything with onion. Onions are bad for your heart. I told him, there's certain onions from the town of Kufri that are actually good for you. But to be Kufri, then that onion is permitted because it was a mistake. And once we say Kufri, not only Kufri, all onions are permitted. The Maisa Hayi was an incident. He teeted a meir b'chol. This is what happened, and he's matzah because we passed Rabbi Akiva and a neder that part of his mutter, they're all mutter. Said the Gemara and then the Mishnah says here that if you said to each one separately carbon, they all become. If you said to each one separately carbon, then it is that each one is treated like a separate neder. Each one needs their own pesach. Says the Gemara, man tane. Who is the author that says that you have to repeat the entire sentence each time? Say this one's a carbon and this one is a carbon and so on. Who's that author? What do you call it? Mantan Amar Rabbi says Rab Shimon is actually follows the view of Rab Shimon. That would go. Amar Rabbi said, Rabbi Shimon, Amar, he says, until he makes a shua for each single person. Let's talk about a pekadon that 5 people said that they gave him a pekadon, and he denies it, and he swears to each one. Then later he admits that it's not true that he actually took the pekadon. And as a result of that, he has to bring a carbon. You have to pay a penalty of a fifth. But since if he said, I deny. If he said shvuah, he went to each one. He said the full sentence. I swear it's not true. It's not true. Then we say, okay, it's 5 different shvuahs. He has to pay 5 penalties. But if he says shvuah vilazeh, he didn't repeat the entire sentence. Just said and you. It's considered like one long shvuah. And you only bring 1 carbon. That's it. So the Amish is the same thing like a Shimon. You have to repeat the entire sentence, including that this, a carbon. This should be also like a carbon. This person should be also like a carbon, and so on. Says about it further. Then you said about wine. You told him the wine is actually good for you. Why do you have to say the wine is good for you? Just say the wine isn't bad, because his shvur was, I will not drink this wine because it's bad for me. If it wouldn't have been bad for me, then I would drink it. So you don't have to say that it's good for you. It doesn't matter. Why does the Mishnah have to go out of its way to say that the wine's actually good? But typically, why we just say the ain't bad? It just wasn't bad. You're right. There's 2 parts. First of all, it's not bad. Second of all, by the way, it's actually good for you. And the same thing with the onion. I don't eat the onion because the onions are bad for your heart. The tape and then we told them the kufri the good. Why do you have to say the good? Just say they're not bad. In addition to not being bad, it's actually good. More psyche, says the Mishnah, that's where we open up with a person's own dignity and also dignity of his children. Let's say, for example, a man makes a net that his wife should have any hana for him whatsoever, so obviously they have to divorce. So they tell him, sometimes we say we don't want to open up because he'll lie, he's embarrassed. But here he's not embarrassed, he gave a divorce. They said to him, look, if you would know, people around town are going to say, well, the gossipmongers, they're going to say, Alecha Kach. This is what they say, that he Kach, Alecha Kachi, that's the Shaplani. This is the behavior of this person. The Gavish is Noshav, that he's an habitual divorcer, so they're going to embarrass you. And regarding your daughters, they'll say, Benois Grusha's name, these are daughters of a Grusha. And then they go further. In other words, there's a stigma in the family because what you just did. But furthermore, why do you think he'd make this net? It's nothing to do with her. Probably something untoward happened there. And therefore, why would you want to get married to these daughters? And he said, oh, if I would have understood the story, I never would have made the neder. Harei mutter is permitted. What happens? He says, we had this previously in Gemara. In the last few days, Shani Noi says, plain as Kuda. I swear that I want to marry her, this woman, because she's ugly. But they know, turned out to be she's pretty. She's dark, turned out to be she's light. Tzad is short, but she's actually tall. And Mutter Bo, he's permitted to marry her. Why is he permitted to marry her? There's 2 ways of understanding. One is based on an error, because he thought that she was short, turned out to be tall. Or because things change. Now, if things change, this is called Neilid. This was not anticipated at all. And we had a machlekes before Neilid is effective, if you can make a Pesach on Neilid. And the Rabbanan said you can't. So the Mishnah continues on that theme. Later, not because there was something new happened here. It's changed, because that would be Neilid. And Neilid was not effective. The dark became light. Short became tall. The neder was based on an error. In fact, it's a story where somebody made a neder about his niece. We live in Maribam as a mitzvah to marry a niece, and this person didn't want to. The Hana, and he didn't want to marry his niece because he didn't think that she was pretty. They brought this girl to Rabbi Shmuel. The Yafur, Rabbi Shmuel went out of his way to make her look beautiful. The Gemara will include that he also gave her a false tooth and made her look pretty. But apart from that, we'll see the Gemara. He used to help women out to look beautiful. This is the woman that you said that you don't want to live with because she wasn't pretty. No, I never. If I would have realized that, I wouldn't have done it. The Tira Rabbi Shmuel was matir. It was a Pesach. If he would have realized, he never would have made the neder. Bishmal cried. But Amar, he said, B'nois Yisrael nois, and all Yiddish women are pretty. Sometimes they don't look pretty. Sha'aniyas menavlos, and it's the poverty that makes them look the way they do. And he went out of his way, as Imar will say, he went out of his way to make sure that Yiddish women look pretty. There's an Indian for them to look pretty. Shemesa Bishmol, and when he died, the Yiddish girls cried. They said, they said that the girls of Yisrael cried, cried out of Ishmael. Just like it says by Shaul HaMelech, B'nai Yisrael, they also cried in Shaul because Shaul used to give clothes out to Yiddish girls that look pretty. The same thing with Rabbi Shmuel. Says I don't understand. You started off saying that people cannot change, and then you bring a story of Shmuel to a woman that looked pretty, they made it pretty. It's missing a few words. I disagree. I hold that you can make it happen. No, the Bishmal holds that it's noilid. It's something you didn't anticipate, but it can happen. And therefore, and I hold that you could use a Pesach noilid, even though something you didn't anticipate, you could use a Pesach, like we had in Gemara before. And the proof we had was from Moshe Rabbeinu, when they told him that his enemies died. And that was something he didn't anticipate. Others said Bishmal actually argues regarding a woman who's pretty and ugly. He's saying it's not noilid. He's saying here that every Yiddish woman has potential to look pretty. We just have to make the effort. It's not noilid at all. And that's his point. His point is the Tanakhama says, when somebody doesn't look right, no matter what you do, it's only superficial. And the Bishmal says, no, you can actually change things around. In fact, there are some pretty. You just have to bring it out from there. Says the Gemara, we learned what exactly did he do? She had a false tooth put in her mouth and was obviously not very pretty. He made her a golden tooth mishlei from his own money so that she should look pretty. And I guess in those days, having a golden tooth made you look pretty. Kishacher already passed away. The eulogizer said about him, and the Jewish girls cried to Rabbi Shmuel, Hamal Bishan, he's addressed. So it wasn't just this particular case. Generally, all Yiddish girls, because he used to go out and buy clothes for them, that they should be able to look pretty. Somebody said to his wife, claiming she had, I don't have any benefit from me, until you actually will taste from your food or give the taste from your food to Rabbi Yehuda and to Rabbi Shimon. I want both of them to taste that food. Rabbi Yehuda, when he heard the reason for him tasting the food, he decided, you know what? I'm being used over here. On the other hand, I'm saving a family from breakup. Omar, he said, I'll eat it. I have a kalvachaymer. When it comes to making peace between a man and a wife, and the wife was accused of adultery, so we have a seiter. The Abishah says, "Put my name there, erase my name to bring some peace to that family." Let, even though it's a suffix, whether is she guilty, not guilty, I don't mind to erase my name. Me, all it is a question of eating some food. Of course, I should go ahead and eat the food in order to save this marriage. Rab Shimon did not taste it. Amari said, not only should the husband die for making a neder, but so should the children die for making a neder that he's not going to keep. Shimon is not going to move. I'm not going to be used for this. Why not? And I don't want people to get in the habit of making neder. Why not? Some of the Shainim say because covered Torah. Shimon said, "It's not me. I'm covered Torah. You're abusing covered Torah to go ahead in your personal lives." Others say that no, it's ID. He wouldn't have done for covered Torah. He did it so people should not get into the habit of making the Dor. Others say he didn't really daven that the children should die, but he was saying is that once the father is dead, what hope do the children have to be raised properly? There's an interesting machlekes in Shulchan Aruch based on this little piece of Gemara here. What happens in the case in Shulchan Aruch? If somebody says to his son, I'm giving you this money, but I don't want you to lend the money out to anybody unless you have the approval of two people. So let's say Reuven and Shimon. And we have a machlekes in the Gemara, Rabbi Yenis and Rabbi Yeshua, when it says Vav, and does it mean you need both or even one on its own? Does vav mean like both, or vav means and, or the vav means or? So the Shulchan Aruch says that even though, so this is halacha Rabbi Yonasan, that vav means or, if he gets approval from either Reuven or Shimon to go ahead and lend the money, it's good enough. Even though the father said Reuven v'Shimon, it's good enough. So the Shach asks from this Gemara right here. It says Rabbi Yehuda vil Rab Shimon, and he waited, and what do you call it? And both of them had to eat. So we see that vav means and, not or. And just like over here, both people had to eat. So too over there, both. Others say, the Taz, on the contrary, why Taka didn't Rab Shimon? Why didn't Rab Shimon eat? Because Rab Shimon says vav is or, he didn't need me. So why should I humiliate myself and go ahead and eat because this person wanted me to eat? Well, you don't need it anyway because one is enough. One is enough. Anyhow, interesting halachic controversy based on the whole story here. Says about it further. I would a person that his wife, I make it easy. She had honestly, you won't have no benefit from me until you spit on the Shimon ben Gamliel. And that's the condition if you want to stay married to me. So also, what did she do? She actually went. Also, she went and she spat, but not in his face or in front of his eyes, but rather on his garment. The whole purpose of this husband, as wicked as he was to humiliate his wife and humiliate Shimon Gamliel. And she didn't do that. She only spat on his clothing. If somebody spits on the clothes of such a distinguished, eminent scholar of Shimon Gamliel, that in itself is quite humiliating for Shimon Gamliel. But the guy said to his wife, I make a shvur that you shouldn't have any benefit from me. She had an easily add, I want Rabbi Yossi to find something. There's two ways of living talking about it. One way is to find something nice about you, one feature, because you have so many bad features. I can't find one good feature. And the only way that we can live together is if you can find at least one good feature about you, or that until you see the moon, that there's no good features about you. Anyway, came before the show. He said to students, Shema Roshana, because she had maybe a pretty, the shape of her face perhaps is nice. Amal's goggle is totally round, not very nice. Shema Saidinosh has nice hair. Doimelanitze pish, it's like flax, hard, not nice at all. Shema now no, maybe she has nice eyes. She says truth to say they are totally round. What about Choitmana? Maybe she has a nice nose. Blumu, it's totally closed up and flat. Shema Sivse no, she has nice lips. Obviously, they're very thick. Shema Tzavora Noka, maybe she has a nice neck. Shokutu, sunken. Shema Krisana, maybe she has a nice stomach. Savahu, swollen. Shema Raglanos, maybe she has nice legs. Rechovis Kishel Avsga, it's wide like a kachka, a goose. Shema Shmono, at least maybe she has a nice name. Okay, there's no feature on anatomy that's nice, but what about a name? They said Lachluchishma. Her name is Lachluch, which means garbage. So Omar Lahen, he said to me, Yafa Koydin Oizal, I just found a good feature. Her name is so apropos. Shehim Luchleched, she's filled with replete with flaws. So her name is accurate. That in itself is a good feature. Therefore, the husband can get back together with his wife. Rishaye permitted them. I hope about Bubble was somebody from Bubble. Now, in Bubble Yisrael, even though we spoke the same language, the words sometimes have different meanings, or different connotations. So this person from Bubble married a woman from Yisrael. Nosivitz, married a woman there. Amalai one day said to her, Bishil, I want you to cook for me today, talf. I want you to cook for me two, either, according to somebody showing me, two legs, two pulkas, or two, he said, give me some lentils. He meant, don't make me a bowl. So he said 2 or 3 lentils. But she took him very seriously. She doesn't know that in Israel, when they say a number means exact. In Bubble, it's just, just a way of speaking that, don't make too much. So Bashil laid trei talfi. So she cooked for him exactly 2 lentils. Or he asked for pulkas and he gave him a couple of lentils. He was a bit angry. The following day, he decided, to compensate. Instead of saying 2 or 3 or 4 or a bowl, he said something like a whole pot full, thinking that she'll realize what's he doing the whole pot full. She should just make a bowl. She took him literally again and built the whole pot full. Amalei, he said to her, Zili Icy, go ahead and bring me Trey Butzini. He said to her, I want you to go out there. And remember, they're having problems understanding each other and communicating. So I want you to go out there and bring me 2 butzini, bring me 2 melons. Also, she went, I said, Trey Shagi, brought 2 candles. Because butzina also means candles. Amallah, he said to her, Zili Tavriyas, I want you to break these candles on the doorpost. Baba is the doorpost. There was a great talent then whose name was Baba Ben Buta, who happened to be standing right next to the doorpost. Have Yosef Baba Buta, Baba Buta was sitting there right next to the doorpost. And the Kodoin Dina, and he was sitting there doing it in Torah, ran from the house. She thought he meant break the candles on Baba's head. Also, she went with Tavid Yasna Reshi, broke it on the head of Baba Buta. We're gonna have similar stories in the end of Masech as well. Amala, he said to her, what do you do there? Why you break your candlesticks on my head? Amala, she said, my husband told me, instructed me, so I did what he told me. Amar, he said to her, you did the right thing. You listened to your husband, as crazy as it was. In your mind, you thought that's what he wanted, and you did it. Today, we should give you a bracha. They should have 2 wonderful children, as great as Baba Ben Buta. Not sure exactly who the children were. But the similar story to the Tanaim we have on top of the page. You see, for Baba Buta, he behaved like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Shimon. And I told you that Rabbi Shimon's vart is that Rabbi Shimon said that Vav is or. It doesn't have to be both of us. And therefore, why should I have to? And others say that the reason Shimon felt was that he didn't have to be saved the shalom bayis, different than my Saita, because there's a way out. Go be mataneder. Go be mataneder. What do I have to go through this humiliation? Go ahead, be matan. There's no problem. Saita, there's no choice. The only way that she can ever go back to her husband is by going through the whole process of a saita. So therefore, the Abish is prepared to give up his name. But why should I humiliate myself if there's alternative? Go ahead, be matan. So that's how we explain the Gemara. Hadran Allah Rabbi Lezer, and